Donald Trump is gagged again, but that didn't stop him from slamming Judge Engoron's alleged wife. We have some interesting social media posts. It apparently came from this person called Don Marie. Donald Trump posted a bunch of this stuff on Truth Social, and that came after the gag order was reimposed. Now we're going to look at the gag order before we jump into Trump's response, and the responses really came from this deep report from Laura Loomer over at Loomer.com, and so we're going to jump into that as well. Now the court is challenging some of Trump's responses, saying that's not the wife, okay? She didn't post those weird TDS type of images. Now we'll see. You can be the judge of that. We've seen a lot from this judge. The judge said that he's not doing anything strange with his Greenfield, this woman, Allison Greenfield, the court clerk, and we know that that's not true. There's some weird stuff going on with that woman and this relationship here, and he's gagging them from that, and they move the cameras around so nobody can see their little love notes or massages or whatever. And now they're saying, no, it's not the wife. Yeah, right, we'll see that about that. But it all comes on the heels of the gag order. Now, we've been following this gag order for some time. My opinion, absolutely unconstitutional. Trump has the free speech protections of the First Amendment to criticize the process. That's the whole point of the First Amendment, is to criticize the process. When the process is corrupted, when you have bureaucrats that have become tyrants, the only thing that you have, the only safety valve, the only safeguard to protect against tyranny is literally the First Amendment. That's why we have it. That's why it's the first one. It's discussed and debated at length in the Federalist Papers and elsewhere. They didn't have free speech, and they couldn't talk about the disgusting behavior from the government. And that's the whole idea of spotlight. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Shine it down. Talk about it. All you got to do is expose it, and the rest of it will sort itself out. And so when they gag you, when they try to put duct tape over your mouth and silence you and muzzle you, that's because they're little tyrant cheaters and they're bullies. And so they have done that in this case. Trump is obviously exposing a big part of the problems with these political prosecutions, and they don't want that to happen anymore. So the gag order was imposed. It was challenged. Trump took it up on appeal, and the gag order has now come back down. And here is what it looks like. And the appellate court does not give us much here, right? It's just a very short 2-page opinion coming out of the appellate division from the First Judicial Department. And now undoubtedly, right, Trump is going to appeal this up to the next level, no question, I'm sure. But present are these judges. So Honorable Sally, Ellen, Salian, Lynette, and these were the people who were hearing the oral arguments. They say, all right, well, here's the situation. In the matter of Donald Trump and the Trump org versus Engoron and Tishy Latish, they say a petition was filed in this court on November 15th seeking to annul and to vacate, pursuant to the other orders of the court, Engoron's orders and sanctions, right? There was a lot of different filings here saying, first of all, that Engoron abused his powers of contempt. He filed these sanctions under the wrong laws and so on, and that every sanction was bad. So that the sanction for October 20th was bad. Sanction October 26th was bad. Saying that two, also, right, those sanctions needed to be gone. They were illegal. And two, a gag order of the same court and justice, Engoron, entered on the record or so ordered on or about the 26th, and a supplemental limited gag order that then expanded into the attorneys of the same court and justice was entered. And they say what happened is Trump moved to stay the enforcement of the gag order and the supplemental limited gag order pending a hearing and determination of the instant petition. Now, upon reading and filing the papers with respect to the motion and due deliberation having been had thereon, it is ordered that the motion is denied. The interim relief granted by the justice of this court, dated back on November 16th, is hereby vacated. And so November 30th, signed by Susana Molina Rojas, and that gag order is now back in place. And so we're going to watch what happened here with Engoron, because they got the news of this in court today. And so here is what that sounded like from the proceeding. We see Klasfeld was there in session, and he is reporting that this is what it sounded like when the court heard this. This was the ruling, of course, that we just read, and the civil gag order has been reinforced. Now, Engoron, as soon as he saw this in open court, Engoron said, I intend to enforce the gag orders rigorously and vigorously. Man, this guy is something else, isn't he? And I want to make sure counsel inform their clients. Probably looking at his Greenfield at the time. He's like, rigorously and vigorously. Yeah, baby, you like that? She's like, ooh, don't talk to me that way. So Trump's attorney, Christopher Key, says, Your Honor, yeah, my client's aware of it. All right, he knows what you've done here. Engoron is like, good. Key says it's a tragic day for the rule of law. Undoubtedly. Wild that this is even happening. So nobody can talk about the judge's, Democrat operative, court clerk, even though she's made illegal contributions under the black letter of the law to other Democratic causes, some of which were literally adverse to Trump and in favor of Tishy. cheat, and Joe Biden. So it's bizarre, right? It's the state protecting themselves. They're circling the wagons to defend against any external threats. And Engoron saying, perfect, great. So I dare you. Say something else, I dare you. Well, Trump said, okay, no problem. Happy to do it. So here is what it looks like over on Truth Social. Now, what we see here is Trump's truth thread. This is his entire account. And so we're going to just poke through it and see what happened bright and early this morning. You'll see one of the first things that came out is a retruth from Donald Trump. We can see this was retruth today. It's a post from Laura Loomer at Laura Loomer on Truth and elsewhere on X. And what this says is exclusive. Judge Arthur Engoron has made the Trump trial a family affair and potentially has reserved seats for his son, Ian Engoron, who may be financially benefiting from the Trump trial via his position as a Democrat activist at a Democratic activist law firm in New York City. And his father's judge is overseeing the Trump trial in New York City. Interesting. Now, during my investigation, says Laura, into communist New York City judge Arthur Engoron, Areola, I discovered that he has 4 children. His son's name is Ian, and he often references his son in the writings in the Wheatley alumni newsletter, the same newsletter that we've talked about here with the bonus torso photos that had the areolas flying out to his alumni, I don't think without any prompting, which is operated and controlled by Arthur Engoron. She says, I have every edition archived. Now, Ian, she calls a radical leftist lawyer who works as the associate shareholder for the Olsham law firm in New York and calls shareholder activism. It implies that he's working financial deals for his law firm, right? So you can come to your own conclusions about what to extract from this data, but it's curious. She allegedly has him in the courtroom. We don't know if that's true or not, right? We don't know if that's the same guy, but she says here, Olshan, Engage Capital reaches an agreement for, that looks like him, Ian Engoron, the associate, a shareholder activism practice. Shareholder activism practice. I don't know what that means, but here, Ian Engoron looks like this dude right here, and she says he might even be in the courtroom, right? Observing daddy at work with his Greenfield, and maybe that's him. I don't know, right? So you can be the judge, come to the conclusion for yourself, but this is what Donald Trump started the day off retruthing. Now you'll see he retruthed that one, and then he posted this one. He retruthed this one, also from Laura Loomer. This one from Laura says, I have uncovered screenshots from the X account of Don Marie Engoron, right? And this, Laura posted this one 2 days ago, November 28th, from this recording, 12:10 p.m. So Laura posts this. I have uncovered screenshots, and we got a bad no-no word on the screen here, so be careful. Says, I uncovered screenshots from the X account of Don Marie Engoron, the wife of leftist judge Arthur, who is overseeing the civil fraud case. Shows that she's been posting attacks on Trump from her account called DMSMINXS, and that was on X. Now she says this is incredible bias. Now on around November 7th, this is, trials in the middle here, she posted tweets in which she said, F Trump. She posted Photoshop pics of Trump in an orange jumpsuit. She attacked me during my live show a few weeks ago for exposing her husband, and she's openly attacking President Trump's lawyer, Alina Abba. Nobody can say this is a fair trial. Now, again, I don't know if this is the judge, okay? They're saying that, just to be clear, let's pause here, in fact, and just go over there and see what the court says about this, because the court says it's not us, it's not her, right? And we're going to take a look at the post and you can come to your own conclusion on it, but I don't trust the court at all, which is a sad thing to say, but they've already told us there's nothing weird going on and that they're moving cameras around. The judge has made weird posts in his alumni newsletter. She's made thousands of dollars of donations that he's excused by making weird interpretations of judicial opinions that don't even apply, saying that she can deduct those. The whole thing, it feels rigged, the whole thing. I just don't believe them when they say stuff like this, but you can, maybe if you want to. The New York judge's wife, according to Klassfeld, he posted this on the Messenger, says the wife says, quote, we sent no social media posts about Trump. Okay, the court confirms that. And, say what you want about the court. I don't personally trust this particular court. So Trump, based on his claims that the judge's wife has been denigrating him on social media, said a Manhattan judge's wife never posted comments about former President Trump, court officials confirmed on Thursday. Okay, who? Now, Al Baker, the state spokesman for the New York Office of Court Administration, wrote, okay, this is what Al Baker wrote. Justice Engoron's wife has sent no social media posts regarding the former president. They are not hers. Trump earlier posted the social media posts based on blog posts from Laura Loomer, and they're trying to, smear her. Oh, she's a conspiracy theorist, ex-InfoWars contributor. Huh. She says that she got social media posts from Don Marie on X. Now, Loomer presented no evidence the account belonged to Engoron's wife, who denied it was hers and told Newsweek she never had an account on that social media platform. Now, New York's system officially corroborated that on Thursday. Well, maybe it's true. Now, the court security officer wrote in his sworn affidavit that Trump's attacks on various trial participants have resulted in very serious threats and blah, blah, blah. And other people are, making illegal threats, but the gag orders do not prevent Trump from making statements about Engoron or his family members. To date, Engoron has not commented on the attacks on his wife. And again, we don't know who posted these things, and so you can be a little bit careful on this. And I certainly want to include the caveat that they very well could not be hers. Who could they be? I don't know. They could be somebody who is impersonating her, right? It could be somebody who is trying to gaslight this, right? AstroTurf this, make it like it is her, or it could literally be her. We don't know. Unfortunately, the justice system in this particular jurisdiction has been so corrupted because the judge's clerk was literally campaigning for Letitia James, the person who is bringing this, that we don't really know, right? The judge is posting his highlight reels and his Wheatley alumni newsletters, and so it is perfectly plausible that Dawn Marie is Judge Engoron's wife and that she's posting this stuff under some weird pseudonym that, she's just she wants to be involved in it. The judge has his Areola newsletter, and she needs to talk to her fans too. She needs to get involved in this. So, this is what Trump posted, right? And now apparently the account has deleted itself. Now we'll take a look. She says, Judge Engoron's wife at DM at SMINXS says he'll never be in the White House again because he's headed for the big house. All right, Trump posted that after the gag. Also posted this one. Now another from Judge Engoron's wife. He says, can this be America? 2024, Trump's in there. She says he's headed for the big house. Posted on 11/6/23. I don't know if it's her or not. Trump says it is. Now he says here, this is the judge's wife and family that are putting these things out. I am not entitled to a jury under this statute. Can this be happening in America? This is the most unfair trial in the history of New York, and I've had some pretty unfair trials. And this one says F Trump, and it's got Trump bald in a jumpsuit, right? I don't know if that's Judge Engoron's wife, but maybe. It fits as far as I can tell. It's more in alignment than it is out of alignment, right? If she was posting MAGA content, I'd be like, that's weird. But she's not. Perfectly in alignment with everything else that's going on here. So it seems like it fits. And of course, that was the original post where he says that he retruthed it. So the court is refuting it, and Laura Loomer says that there's some serious possibilities there. And now my question is, how can you prove that, right? It's really hard to prove that one way or another. In fact, if the FBI were interested in getting to the bottom of this, if this were like a photograph of somebody posting something like that about an election or something like that, a bad illegal meme, maybe they would round that person up, right? Maybe that would be like a threat, and they would imprison that person for months on end for illegal memes because we know that they're doing that. But how do we prove it one way or the other? We don't really know, but it turns out Laura Loomer is investigating it. She's got this website called loomered.com, and she posted this, and the rest of the stories are here. And so you can see the latest updates from her, and she's asking questions about this. George Santos is asking questions about this. And so people are digging in. Now, I want to also be very, very clear about this, right? I say this every time, and I'm not, any time that there are, Trump is going to post this. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to come back and they're going to say the attacks on his wife have gone through the roof, and so on and so forth, and that he needs to be gagged further, or that he's a menace, right? This is going to turn into an instigation, and they're going to say we have to gag him harder. It's reaction and response and cause and action and response, and we're just going to keep following it around. This is another escalation. Now, in my opinion, free speech trumps judicial process. Whatever it is they're kind of making up is an actual legitimate threat. I've already explained this. Actual legitimate threats and harassment are already illegal. Any type of borderline messages, tweets, emails, voicemails, whatever, will be investigated and should be investigated, right? We don't want anybody threatening or harassing federal officials or anybody at all, right? Don't want any threats or harassment at all because it's already illegal and it's just not appropriate in the first place. But we also want valid criticism. We want to be able to talk about bizarre little setups like this where these two lovebirds are kicking each other under the benches. She has an open animus against Trump. So does Engoron. So does Tishy. And we've got a lot of suspicion about the rest of the family too, right? Apples don't fall far from the tree. So this will continue to escalate this. We'll see what the government does in response. And I'm certain that they're going to try to use this to attack everybody. We learned yesterday that if you liked or retweeted one of Donald Trump's X account posts, then you showed up on an FBI list. And so it's probably the same thing happening here, right? They're probably monitoring all this as well. So if you go through here and you did something like that, like if you like that button or like you retruth something like that, like you might be on an FBI list again. I don't know. It's just something that we know that they're doing this based on all the files that have come out. So like if you're liking and retruthing stuff, probably on another spreadsheet and another one. So anyways, you get the point. Of course, we're going to be here continuing to cover this, my friends, and we'll hope that the free speech side of this prevails, but we'll be here continuing to cover. Thank you for joining us as we do. Thanks for visiting robertgovea.com, signing up for our daily newsletter, checking out the show reports, reading reading and reviewing any of the PDFs over there. We'll look forward to seeing you right back here on the next one.